Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Research Director at Gartner, Brian Manusama.
So, good morning to you all. Welcome to eGain. Thank you, Jane, for this wonderful introduction. Very good. I wanted to do one thing. I'm going to start completely otherwise the way that I want it. My wife never believes, if I do presentations like this, how many people are actually here. So here we go. I do this. I do the terrible thing. Yes, lady. Why don't we make a selfie? And please wave to my wife for me if you want to. Just 1 second. Here we go. Can you just wave a little bit for my wife here so she really believes that I'm in? There you go. Very good. Thank you. Very much appreciated. Thank you, guys. That's a great start of the day, don't you think so? All right. Now seriously, because we're going to do next-gen knowledge management for digital engagement. I can tell you, and I make you a promise, that in the next 10 years, regardless of your profession, you will have a co-worker from an artificial intelligence perspective. A co-worker, maybe even artificial intelligence customers, but regardless of your occupation, you will have that in the next couple of years. Because really, the arrival of artificial intelligence is inevitable. It's not about whether or not you will have it soon, it's basically when will you have it in order not to be out of business. So that's a very important thing that we are starting to see. And in the world of customer engagement, if you want to do artificial intelligence, there's one thing that you need. You need next generation knowledge. And to give you a bit of a perspective on this, how that knowledge would work, how you would look into the customer journey, into all sorts of digital moments, let's start with a bit of a video here.
Hi, I'm Pamela.
Hi, Pamela. I'm a little worried I'm going to miss my flight.
I'm so sorry about that. What is your flight number? Well, based on your location, and assuming you are traveling by car, what I'm seeing on the reports on the speed of traffic from I-4 and the on-time status for your outbound flight to Washington Dulles, I would agree that you are probably going to miss your flight. Would you like to rebook?
How much?
Are you asking how late you will be for the flight, or how much your cost will be?
The cost of flight.
Let me check for you. The rebooking fee is $250. In addition to the rebooking fee, the airline will charge a difference in fare fee if applicable. The next available flight on your current airline will be in 3 hours' time that gets into Washington at 11 p.m. Do you want to look at other flight options?
Yes, that's going to be a little late for me. Can you look at another one?
Okay. We have 2 flights with earlier arrival times. I'm displaying them now for your selection. I can give you a fare difference for a new booking after you make a selection, and I compare that against your current booking. Okay, if you can give me your current confirmation number, I can get this booked for you. You can type in the confirmation number, or if you have your boarding pass on your device, I can retrieve it for you.
Oh, you can retrieve it.
I found the flight. The difference in fare will be $304 in addition to the rebooking fee. Would you like to go ahead with the transaction?
Okay, go ahead.
I now have access to your Blue Skies account number. Would you like me to use your credit card number on file?
Go ahead.
Okay, we're done. I'm going to send the booking confirmation to you. You will now be flying on a different airline, so please make sure that you check in at Terminal B 30 minutes prior to your flight. I don't see a United Membership Rewards number on your account, Mr. Smith. Do you have a membership number?
Yep.
Okay, Mr. Smith, we are all but done. Thanks for your business, and have a safe flight to Washington Dulles.
Thank you.
Great. What you have seen here is a lot of technologies, of course. But the most important thing that I wanted to share with you here today is that you saw an enormous amount of data. and of information, of knowledge that came through this virtual assistant, through this artificial intelligence capability. So it was all about explicit data in procedures. It was all about implicit data. It was all about personal knowledge that I would have on this customer that I need to actually leverage this in a conversation like this. And still, with many of you here in the room, and yes, I'm accusing you, are not using knowledge management to its full extent. Or knowledge management is not even a big part of the strategic projects that are going on today. And I wonder why for 4 years in a row right now. In the 4 years ago, when I did engagements with customers and they showed me their customer-centric architecture, one thing was that I never saw is knowledge and knowledge management. So I started to talk about it as the forgotten gem that is in there. So my challenge for you today in the next half hour that I have to share with you, I wanted to convince you of the importance of knowledge. And what we will do is we'll see what the importance is. We'll have a look at what the impact is on the digital customer experience. We also see what then the influence of artificial intelligence is. And lastly, I also would like to share with you some practicalities on actually where to start when you do this. So let's get started on the importance of knowledge management within your organization. And if you do that, you actually need to go back all the way to the 80s when everybody started, and Peter Senge started with a book that was called The Learning Organization. That's where the promise actually started to come in. I want to have a learning organization. And a learning organization is starting to be a discipline where you can enable effective action, and you do that through your relevant, intelligent assets that you have within your organization. So notice one thing. Knowledge is not technology. Got nothing to do with technology. It's about people, process, and technology all together being in there. So it's about capturing sources, knowledge, and organizing that knowledge and your knowledge sources that you have, but then also give it back again and transfer that knowledge across different kinds of channels so that everybody can benefit from that particular part of knowledge that you have in there. So with that, the learning organizations, there were two views of knowledge management that you can have. You can have on one side the cathedral one, which is basically about focusing on the protection of and the conservation and the repositories of existing knowledge capabilities, documents, procedures, policies. And on the other side, you can talk about the bazaar, where you talk more about fluent knowledge, where you talk about contextual knowledge, and when you talk about individual behavior that you would like to power with that particular knowledge. And obviously, you can also have an approach where you blend the two when it becomes for a specific contextual approach in terms of a customer service environment or a help desk environment where you do customer engagements. And obviously, as years has grown, coming from the 80s with the learning organization, you see that we're starting to get to a tipping point. So where we first looked at the concept of a learning organization, and we started to go to the 21st century, where a lot of knowledge bases were actually created within silos, however, and there started to be a big gap between what the vision was and what the reality was, again, of combining all those knowledge sources. It became a bit of a problem. But today, I very, very much think that we are at a tipping point in the vision of how to use knowledge management, because it's very much, are we going to be in another winter, or are we finally going to fuel knowledge management within your organization to have great digital customer engagements? Because the non-routine work will become more and more important. And there will be more opportunities to capture data in the flow of work. So not from a cathedral style, not just from a bazaar style, but really basically in the daily flow of work, so real time getting knowledge about your customer, about his behavior and what his preferences are. And we then do that in a very automated way. This is what the promise of knowledge management has been for the last couple of years. This will be the benefit that knowledge management from that learning organizations in the 80s were actually promising. So no knowledge walking out of the door anymore, reusable knowledge, of course, promoting the capabilities of self-service, something that we all want to do nowadays. Stop inventing the wheel, because I have done this before. Consistency through all my engagement channels that I have, and also making better decision and answers with the right people and with the right information. This is a report that I pulled off from the Global Knowledge Management Observatory report from 2016. I'm not going to read all of it to you, but the main story for me is it still sucks. Excuse the language. And I don't know what the reason for that is, but we still see that it is not going into the right direction. And with the increased number of data, with the increased number of digital engagements, with the increased number of information that comes out of it, with the increased number of knowledge that you can have in your organization here today, it should be very important to you to start bringing together knowledge management within your organization. Because with all that growth and not pulling it together, I'm pretty sure that your customer satisfaction from you here individually in the room and from myself, but also from your customers, will go down, which doesn't bring a good customer experience. When it doesn't bring a good customer experience, it doesn't bring a lot of revenue for you, and they will shop and go to other to other organizations out there in the market. And also from an employee perspective, your employees will also not be very happy in the way to go forward on this. Now, I realized when I was pulling this together, these slides, that this was not a very pretty message yet to start off with on your Monday morning at 9 o'clock in your conference here. But I did think that I needed to bring you this message now to give you a sense of what the importance is of knowledge. I was talking with Ashu just a couple of minutes ago saying this could also all pass again, and we will have a lot of knowledge. Artificial intelligence will not be what it's supposed to be, but that's not what we want. See the importance of knowledge and what it can bring you in your organization and outside of organization and to your customers. See the benefit that comes out of it from a revenue perspective, from a customer satisfaction perspective, and look at that importance. So let's look a little bit also on what the impact could be of customer experience, on the digital customer experience in the market. We see that organizations today, 85% of organizations today are seeing that the main competition will not be on product, will not be on price anymore, but will be on customer experience. And hopefully I'm saying nothing new to you at this particular point in time, that will be your key differentiator in the market in the next couple of years. However, In all the attempts that we have seen on making customer experience come to reality, you need to make yourself as an organization customer-centric, designed to keep customers happy by finding out what they want and dealing with problems quickly. Cambridge or Oxford Dictionary that we got that out. So the challenge of bringing good customer experience with knowledge is about making your organization more customer-centric. Today, you should help customers in getting rid of their frustration, in having a knowledge base where they can search and where they can find the answer, and not search the knowledge base and hope for the best. Provide knowledge to the different engagement channels. So there are social channels nowadays that have delayed responses and misinformation. Wouldn't it be wonderful if you also can fuel those engagements with a good knowledge component? And also, a lot of times we see that it is not personalized or relevant to you specifically. Now you should also bring the information that is specific to you and personalized for you. And I just wanted to show and share with you here some of the customers, some of the companies that are doing quite a good job already in making everything personal, in recognizing me, who I am and what my needs are, doing it with the right level of information, and also surprising and exceeding my expectations here in the market. And as you can see, it goes from banks, it goes to fashion items, it goes to airlines. It is all sorts of companies that have been using knowledge in a better way. Now there's basically 6 ways there where you can actually achieve personalization. And what you can see is that most of it is about customer knowledge. The customer knowledge in terms of preferences in transactions, demographics, bringing that together with location, product, content, and the channel communication preferences will allow you to have more personalization within your organization and will delight your customers and will have a profound impact on a positive way on the customer experience. Yearly, we do at Gartner a CX survey where we asked organizations a lot of things, but one of the things that we are asking them, what are your strategic projects that were meaningful for you in that particular year? And for the last couple of years that we have been doing it, we have seen that there are always 2 at the top. One is acting as one organization, because customers are fed up with the fact that if I'm on a self-service capability, escalate to an assistant service capability, I have to tell all my questions all over again, and there's no contextual capability to it. And the second element is that we see constantly in the top 2 is the fact that people are looking into activating customer self-service in their organization, and that also has an impact on the customer experience. Well, if you look at those 2, you can say one thing. Again, it is all about knowledge, and it's all about being consistent throughout channels and allowing the knowledge to come to a self-service capability. So what a lot of organizations have done nowadays in order to fulfill those 2 acting as one organization and doing customer self-service is that they have gone through the rapid creation and retrieval of relevant knowledge and content so that they are able to provide this as quickly as possible. And to make it very practical for you, we see that there are 7 best practices that we have seen so far in the market today. I'm not going to go through all 7 of them, but knowledge consolidation is one of the major ones that we have seen so far. As in the beginning of the 21st century, everybody was looking and making different types of knowledge bases, we see a consolidation of the knowledge base again. So think of that as you are going through that. Search engine optimization, very practical. Guided experience, also having a guidance, guide your customers through their digital experience by providing them knowledge at the right time when they need it, so they know what they need to do where. An important one is also outside in thinking. A lot of organizations have made processes that are actually very much from an operational excellence. So inside out thinking, how can I make the process for my organization so good that I actually do it in a most operational excellence way? But that's an interesting way of thinking because that helps you as an organization, but does it also help your customers? Not really. So start thinking from the outside in instead of from the inside out. What will benefit a customer from if I change my process? I always take the example of a bank where you can have a loan. Normally, you would get into the inside out thinking that for a loan, I need to provide proof and bring that to a physical bank or scan it somewhere to somebody who will do a risk assessment to make sure that I get my loan, yes or no. But if you think it from the outside in, sometimes on Saturday or in the weekend, where I am in front of a store where I want to buy something big, where I need some a loan for, I just have the need of picking up the phone or going online and see whether or not, based on my income, I am allowed to actually get that loan. So that's another, I have a need at that particular point in time, and all the proof that I need to bring to the bank in order to make that risk assessment will come later. So restart thinking from the outside in instead of from the inside out. So from operational excellence going to customer intimacy in that respect. And another element that you have been seeing in the market for customers who have impacted the customer experience in a more positive way using a lot of knowledge is also those virtual customer assistants that I showed you in the beginning here with the video. Basically automating the way that you are providing knowledge, providing a service to somebody by using an avatar or using an automated capability to do that. So let's look at that also a bit. So what is actually then the influence of artificial intelligence in the organization? Well, this is what is happening over the last couple of years with artificial intelligence. We have been misled since 1995 already with what artificial intelligence was. Early enthusiasm that was out there today with booming knowledge-based systems, but we also had our first winter because we couldn't deliver the capabilities that were necessary to make it happen. Then the second boom came, where we have much more improved GPUs, hardware that could actually process all the data that you wanted to have in organizations. However, we couldn't make the algorithms and we couldn't make the machine learning work until now, and we came into a second artificial intelligence winter. Now we come to a point where it becomes very interesting. Very interesting because the machine learning capabilities that we have today actually were so good that we start to lower the error rate of machines that become better than with human beings. So where the error rate of the human being was 3%, the error rate of the machine becomes 2%. And now we are getting to a point where we actually can trust the machine to do a better job than we can. So, and if you combine that then with the knowledge evolution that we have gone through, of the learning organization and the knowledge engineering and knowledge being on trial, we could have the possibility of not getting back in that winter. But we need to be realistic of what artificial intelligence will bring to you. You need to start experimenting with it. You need to have use cases for it. But most importantly, you need to get your knowledge in order to actually fuel the learning, the machine learning capability in the best way that you can. And AI applied to some knowledge management components are already out there, where you see the text analytics that are very good today. Inside machines on what is your next best action that you can do based on the information that you have on customers. So there are a lot of tools nowadays that you see that are being used already into the area of artificial intelligence, fueled basically by knowledge management. So while your customers give, they also would like to receive more and more information. So think of artificial intelligence also in automating your engagement, but also from a customer self-service perspective, where there are customers will give you information, but it should also be to the benefit in that respect of the customers, of giving them better insights or allowing them to do more from a customer self-service perspective in there. I show this picture because artificial intelligence and the machine learning promise that has come in organization that today is all about the perception of that we will do 100% of machine learning. That if I have my knowledge right and if I have my artificial intelligence machine learning engine right, there will be 100% machine learning based on experience and I don't need a human being anymore. Well, that will not be true. Your call center will not be empty in 2020 in that respect. But rather take an approach of a blended human and artificial agents that you will have in your organization. So for more routine work and some complex situations, you actually will able to use your artificial intelligence agent to do the most of the work. Whether it's from a desktop perspective or whether it's from a mobile perspective. I can tell you that this is an example from the commercial bank in China. They are doing 1.5 million transactions and customer engagements per day on a mobile device from that, and from the 1.5 million, they do 95% with the virtual agent and with an accuracy level of 98%. So it's huge what they are doing there and how far they can actually get to that. But there is always a couple of percentage that needs to be covered by a human being. So always think about the artificial intelligence capabilities of working together with a human being. And then from 2020, we believe that 10% of the business to consumer first engagements that everybody will have will be taken by a virtual customer assistant, where it is 1% today. So that means self-service, that means mobile messaging capabilities, that means your IVR. It will all go up in the next couple of years. The first porter to the door, to the hotel, I would say, will all be an experience with a virtual customer assistant. And also, by 2020, AI will disrupt the jobs of 1 million phone-based customer support agents that are out there today. So look at this also from the perspective that you will see that customers, that call centers will get a lot of automated transactions, and that the decrease of your customers, of your agents will definitely go down in the next couple of years due to the disruption of artificial intelligence. Now, for the last part, I also wanted to make sure that we make it a bit practical. I think that there are 3 approaches to starting or restarting your knowledge management capabilities. 1, it's about organizing it like we have done it over the last couple of years, to make your to make sure that you have everything in one place or in a multiple places, but at least it is stored and organized in a correct way, so that you know where to get certain type of information. Second of all is also, it's about connecting. It's about connecting people. It's about connecting them through management systems and through CRM type of systems in order to have a good digital customer engagement. And then there's the new element of automation that is coming in. So if you look again into the first picture on the first principles of what knowledge was all about, you see that there are now supporting tools of thinking about your enterprise management system, thinking about your electronic forms, thinking about your CRM, that are actually the sources of organizing the work, and making sure in order to transfer this across, to share that information across different kinds of channels, you allow for portals and for enterprise search to be available for your customers. And in the same capability, if you look at this picture, you can talk about connecting people here. You can talk about communities that are valid at most of the times right now, but that there is a lot of supporting, that there are social networks out there, that there is crowdfunding up there to connect people and knowledge all together, and to give them access to each other's knowledge in that respect. Now, the automation part is something that is new. That is new because that is knowledge that is at the lowest level, but because of the ability to process as much knowledge as possible, we can also don't only need to get to documents and conversations, we can also get to the transactional, to the operational, to behavioral data that is out there today, to give better knowledge and better automate the knowledge in order to have meaningful customer engagements in the market today. And it's not that you have to go with one approach or the other. It's not mutually exclusive. It is really about mixing those together, finding for each approach the strength and the weakness of it, and it's allowing you to do all of that in a mutual way and see what makes sense to you. This is an example of that, of how a service ticket would go through your organizations with metrics, where you will see that we use machine learning to actually start with the chatbot to engage with the customer. As it becomes more difficult, we pick it up. It's being picked up by an agent. Then you can bring it back again if you want to the chatbot and continue the resolving of this ticket. So this is all about organizing, connecting, and automating a service ticket, where you use structured data to find out who this is. And then you talk about connecting data, to be able to connect through chatbots as well as human beings. And it's about automation, as the chatbot does the heavy lifting and most of the work to get it in a contextual way. So when to use? Organize, use when you know what is needed for a given solution. So it's done in a structured way. You use connect when it's about just-in-time access to people, especially it's more in exceptional situations, and to capture knowledge as a byproduct of the conversations that you have. And you use automation if you think you have a high enough trust level and enough data in a given situation that you can do knowledge extraction and intelligent delivery like you do in contact centers, like you do in help desk environments. And realize that as with IT, with the ones that keeping the lights on, as well as the innovation part of it, that it will always run at two speeds. There will be those who will do the most practical elements of fueling some of your engagement channels with the structured data. And on the other side, there will also be the innovation part, the virtual assistant part, the artificial intelligence part that will be experimenting in the way you can actually help your customer best and automate as much as possible of different use cases. If you will do all of this, ladies and gentlemen, I am sure that you will see that if you use artificial intelligence and knowledge in a good way, it will bring you speed in terms of answering your customers. You will see that the satisfaction will go up because you provide them with contextual, personalized engagements throughout the different engagement channels that are out there today. You will see that you get increased revenue as customers are becoming more loyal to your organization. You will see that you become more scalable if you can automate more and more of your different engagements. And you will also see that because your agents or your employees don't have to spend 20% of their time looking for answers, that you will also have some cost savings in your organization. And last but not least, you will see that the business benefit of doing this is that you provide your customers with a simplifying complexity which allows them to very much more easy go through your organization. Now we're here with eGain. One of the elements that I would say to get all these benefits is that you are a good host here today who have proven themselves already in the market with some of the customers that I'm mentioning here, EE, Veterans Affairs, Her Majesty Revenue and Customs, that they are able to help you with setting up the artificial intelligence, help you with setting up the knowledge management component in a good way, customer facing as well as employee facing. So let me end my presentation with giving you some of my recommendations for you. So be clear about the business contact and the objectives that you have with an initiative. So specify that upfront how and why and when you want to use it. You have seen that there are different approaches to knowledge management. So blend those three approaches and see what has the more weight to it than the other. So determine the right mix in that respect of the organized, connect, and automated style. But also, if you have done that, push knowledge management one step further. One step further using applied artificial intelligence to automate your knowledge extraction, your representation, and the transfer of knowledge in that respect. And last but not least, don't expect a single technology just to meet your KM needs. It's not just a single technology, it's much more than that. It is also process, it is also the way you organize it within your organization. So hopefully you're in an action plan for the next for the next 12 months. Hopefully you go back to your work and say, okay, I understand that knowledge management is still something very important and I need to embark upon it from an employee perspective as well as from a customer perspective. So and start documenting that program that you would like to do from a knowledge management perspective, and socialize with leadership, with your leadership out there today and with your business stakeholders to see how appropriate it is and to get some sponsorship of doing that. But also identify your business case. Don't just go make the knowledge management in order in any of these approaches, but also recognize what the use cases are out there in order to do so. Maybe from a call center perspective, maybe from a back office organization, maybe from a self-service perspective with your customers. And then outline those plans for each use case and identify what you need to do to make this happen. And in the next 12 months, if you have embarked on several initiatives, hopefully you'll be able to evolve and integrate your plans into some coherent solutions that are out there in the marketplace to help you go further. With that, I will leave you and with a quote from a very important man as far as I'm concerned. Knowledge is about power, and information is about liberation, and education is the promise of process in every society, in every family. With that, I want to wish you a wonderful day today with the eGain people, and hopefully I have convinced you that knowledge management is a prerequisite for your business. Thank you very much.